1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do you think I would be more, my engagement would increase if I had a hat? Like, do you think having a hat would improve my click off rate on TikTok, where the most people on my most viral videos scroll in the first 1 second? It's a confronting statistic to learn about yourself, especially when you have the kind of video that is invites people to sit and listen, but that before you've even opened your mouth, your audience has got enough information to move on. They've been told everything they need to know, which is that I don't want to watch this. Ew, get off. And they move on. I think that's so funny. The raw data that you get when you have lots of, when you have stuff online that lots of people are watching is both wonderful when you're like, wow, 500 people have commented on this. This has been liked 10,000 times. There's been whatever. It's shared by 100 people or whatever it might be. That's really exciting because you're like, wow, that's if you had 100 people in your room right now, that would be a scary mob of people to all be watching you, right? And yet the other flip side of that being like, yay, people are watching what I create, is like, oh, there's some really hard truths about that, which is like people watching, the video. I think like my largest video on TikTok has 9 million views, right? But that's, what do they call it? That's called impressions. Is that it? Where it just means it has been showed on someone's. When you see like a play, that's not people playing it from start to finish. That's how many like For You pages in front of how many people it's appeared. And then TikTok, like all the apps, give you a very clear breakdown of like, here's the exact moment people stopped watching, or here's how many percentage of people watch this through to the end. Here's, and all the demographic data as well. So like that's one example. The other one is just like comments. It's like so nice when you get great comments. so difficult to just place any negative comments in a little basket to the side and be like, nothing, doesn't matter. But it does matter because I'm thinking about it. Anyway, today, thank you for watching. If you've joined us for all of the 3 other videos so far and you're continuing on in the journey, thanks for leaving a comment, liking, disliking. Thanks for reporting it. I don't think anyone's reported it. I don't know. Would I know? I'm not sure. But I wanted to sort of come on today with a very specific goal for myself. I want to see if I can use this magical peephole of accountability, thank you for being on the other side, to give myself some life coaching, give myself a little kind of like, I feel like I've been stepping through so far and just kind of reflecting on and deconstructing my own process and habits without consciously sort of happening in real time, right? Like we're just unpacking this together. I've thought about it, in different fragmented pieces all the time, and I journal every day. So there's been lots of ways of talking about this, and I've, worked with lots of people over time where you've had to kind of express and articulate what your creative process or preferences are. So that's all familiar, but I think the thing is trying to articulate it a bit like a manifesto is what I'm edging towards. Like, it's no longer, I've got this short little hack in order to get some work done. I feel like I'm moving towards a place where I can really spell out, here's all the conditions I need for myself to do my best work. Here's what's compromised if I swap this out. Here's what tends to be where I tend to spend too much time. Here's where I don't spend enough time. All those kinds of things. And anyway, I'm just going to try another kind of approach today, which is this idea of like, I'm going to coach myself in 2 areas. One is, it doesn't even want to come out because it feels so disconnected from what I want to be, but that's part of the reckoning that we have to do. One is around health and fitness. Trust me, I know. I just remember we don't have our face tracking on to take full advantage of any time that I may need to propel myself from the idea or the desk. One is around health and fitness. By that I just mean, and I'm flinching in case you're listening to the Spotify version of this. There's not a Spotify version of this. But I have done it before, as demonstrated, as spoken about in other episodes. But that was a manic kind of extreme version of committing to health and fitness. I have had other points where I've just been in a really lovely routine of having a studio pass to like a Pilates studio usually, really enjoying that and feeling really good. The greatest advantages of when I was in my strongest Pilates routine, which was circa 2017 and 18 and then 19, that was strong years. 2022 actually, yeah, and 2021. That whole period, so good. I was on stage doing some acting throughout that period, and I remember consciously talking about, with one person in particular, but the idea that I felt really grounded and balanced on stage. I remember performing a one-person show and being like, the show's a bit shit, but me in it as a performer, I don't feel like I'm crossing my fingers and getting through this show. I feel like I'm comfortable in my own skin, able to move freely and dynamically, able to kind of like take direction and offer something beyond it. I felt really, strong and great in that. And there is something, it's so shallow and vain, but there is something about wearing clothes and feeling good. I wear clothes at the moment when they're comfy, and I like that, but there's a lot of clothes in my cupboard that I don't feel comfortable in. They kind of catch my kind of tum-tum area. Sorry, I'm so far away from the microphone. The camera follows, but the microphone doesn't. I feel conscious of my like belly hanging out, and it's just because like I just know what my body feels like when I don't have as much fat on it, and I know what it feels like when it has more muscle, and I like that more, and I feel more comfortable in that body. And you know, in terms of body positivity, I don't think I have a particularly negative relationship to my body. So I feel very fine kind of talking about I want to get rid of the fat on my body, because it's sort of like the priority one is just getting fitter and healthier, right? But the byproduct of that is, in my opinion, like I feel and look better in my body. And yeah, so I just need to action that. And there's no reason that I haven't, there's no reason that I shouldn't have done that already. But let's try and take shoulds out of the equation. I'll just before we go any further into that kind of little spiral, the other thing that I just want to kind of crack through, these are my two problems I'm bringing to the group workshop today. And please, if you have suggestions, ideas, or things that you think I should try, let me know. I would love your tips or any suggestions you've got. That, you know, I think that we shouldn't give feedback unless asked for on most things in life, but I'm actively asking you for your feedback and thoughts on this, about how to achieve my goal and get a bit unstuck. So health and fitness is one. The other area that I really want to just crack is in my TikTok, whatever, Instagram, YouTube, but I just say TikTok is easier, content. I'm mostly in doing these like love luxury parodies, right? Then I've chucked in occasionally, very infrequently, something else like a Married at First Sight little like scene, or there's some ads or something, or I did like a little kind of bit more like story content, a trip to Dreamworld and a review of Tyra Banks' Smize and Dream ice cream shop in Sydney. I was specifically trying to get into the ABC content creator program that they have, and so I quickly made those videos to be like, I can do other stuff. Didn't get in. And then the people that got in are all like Walkley Award-winning journalists. So I'm really glad that I didn't get in. I would have been so out of my depth. But still a great asset nonetheless. And even so far this year, like trying to really like believe in that whatever mantra that people use of rejection is redirection. You know, the idea of like, oh, that thing didn't happen for a reason. And I just want to say, sorry, just one little other note on that. two times this year that I felt really affirmed, and I've already forgotten the second one, but I remember the first one. I felt really affirmed in turning down something before I got rejected from it. And I don't say that because I was scared of being rejected. Most of my life as an actor is being rejected. You might film like 100 self-tapes a year and get 2, 10 at most. 2 for me is my stats so far. But I had an audition for a musical, you can guess what one, where my violin skills met myself being an actor. And so I was able to audition for that. It was a non-speaking role. And I remember thinking like, wow, what an opportunity. It's touring to Sydney and Melbourne, and it'll be weeks and weeks of work, plus rehearsals, plus like just fun to be in my first kind of main stage kind of big production. If I got it, I can play violin enough. I could get by. The pieces were easy enough, but it's literally the fiddler at the start, right? And on the night before, the night before, I just messaged my agent being like, I don't want to. I don't feel quite ready enough. I feel a bit nervous playing my instrument. And then second of all, I don't want to be in a musical, a non-speaking role playing violin for 12 weeks. I actually just really don't want to do that. I think the unpaid time spent working out what I'm doing right now and just like experimenting with content is going to be a better long-term investment than being in that musical. Some people might say, why not both? But psychologically, there's something that's just quite like muzzling about being in a non-speaking role in a musical. You might also raise the question, but Kyle, you weren't cast in that. You were just auditioning. Correct. But sometimes the kind of sunken costs of just even going to an audition where you're like, my heart's not in this. I don't want to do this, is already like, it's like my body has made the decision already. And so then what happens is that's unconsciously, then my conscious brain and parts of my like daily life start to then enact on that unconscious decision. I think this is the manifesting part we talked about last time. And that can look like things like self-sabotage, or why was I late to the audition, or why didn't I rehearse more, or whatever. And it's like, they're not all just like, scatterbrain, millennial, whatever. No, I think some of that is like, you don't want this. You actually don't want this role for very good reason. But you're not able, or brave, or confident, or truthful, or self-reflective, or whatever to articulate that. And so your kind of unconscious brain is going to take care of that for you by like making sure that you don't do this role. I think that's really real. The other opportunity was, there was another thing that I said no to that I was like, yes, correct. Oh, well, I think this is just another thing. It's a pattern in my life, right? Kyle, are we still on topic? Let's have a check-in. Are you still on topic? No, not really. Yes, we're coming back to the idea of life coaching around these two things. Yeah, well, it's sort of related. It's just more on the Narcissism Express, right? So just, grab a seat. The dinner cart should be open soon. I think we're going to have a V. I know that's in contrast to the weight loss goals, but I just want to be real with where I am. It's not like I'm really fit now. We've got a long way to go. Thank you for not judging. You judged, didn't you? You judged, and I judged myself too, so I don't blame you. I'll tell you what the problem is. No, we'll get back to the exercise, health, and well-being thing in a moment. Okay. What I wanted to say is, this was, I think, another thing that feels really significant. I had the option in moving to Melbourne of being in Frankston, right? Further away from the city, much cheaper rent. A growing, booming suburb with like area with, like super cool, investment and infrastructure developing. I love things that are a little bit more like, feel a little bit more, of the people, even with a bit of a rough edge, even if that involves, a bit of, sketchy criminal activity here and there. Not by me. I just mean like that's part of the parcel of being kind of, not in a kind of bougie, hipster, gentrified little kind of corner. Spoiler alert, I moved to the gentrified corner much closer to Melbourne. But rent higher, closer to the city, cool suburbs, more Melbourne experience, or like more space, more like space to have studio working space, separate from living, separate from bedroom, blah, 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 if living further out in somewhere like Frankston. But it does impact, and I know this as someone who lived in the Blue Mountains but then would travel to Sydney for certain things, which is like a 2.5 hour one-way trip with trains that run on the hour. And so you get really good at your routine of like, you know, you do not muck around if you're trying to catch that last Blue Mountains train line home for the night, trust me, because A, if you miss the last one, you're cooked. You got to wait till the morning. Or B, if you miss just, you know, the one that you're aiming for and it's earlier in the night, you still have to wait an hour before the next train leaves. And there's all kinds of delays and things all the time. So the stakes are high. The point being that I made that choice in the kind of last Sydney iteration where the decision to move further away from Sydney meant cheaper, space, blah, 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 a whole heap of like benefits, nicer house, da-da-da. But the actual fact is like, here I was on one hand being like, I'll just get a part-time job. It turned into a full-time job. And I'll just do creative stuff around the edges, right? But there's no way that I'm finishing a job at 5 and then being in Sydney, you know, to do a rehearsal that starts at 7. That's just that's physically not possible to occur. And even then, a rehearsal, you know, is going to go for like 2 hours, 3 hours maybe. It would then mean like finishing at 10, getting back home at half midnight, 1 a.m. Do you know what I mean? And then that's cute a couple of times, and I did do that, squeeze out for certain things. I was like Santa one year, and was doing these mad kind of up and down the mountain kind of runs in car and public transport. But it's exhausting. And again, I just think it's interesting where it's like, well, that's not a really viable way to be an actor, is to live both there and in the city, especially if you're at the level that I am, which is just scrapping around. Like no one's adjusting a rehearsal schedule for me. So I just thought that's interesting that it's like I don't regret that space and time and all the beauty that I got to discover as part of the Blue Mountains experience. But at the same time, I think that's also my unconscious brain being like, you don't think you deserve this, so we're going to stop you from even having it. And if you make the excuse of like cheaper rent and whatever else, that's a really convenient choice then, cover and mask and facade, so that if you do need to explain to people why you're not working more as an actor, it's okay. You live so far away. It's not that you're not trying or that you're scared of rejection and failure, blah, blah, blah. So I think this time I flipped that decision, living in the city, paying more rent, but really feeling like, I feel part of the action. Even I would just say things like, even just on a really, this is such a dumb basic level, but like getting props for videos, if I can't find something at home, there's like maybe about 10 op shops within a 10-minute walk of where I am. It's so good. But I think that's also about being like, well, if I'm ready to work as an actor, if I'm ready to kind of be a bit more in the mix of things, then I want to be in the mix of things. I don't want to be so far away that there's an excuse to not go grab content at something. Okay, why is this such a long backstory? That was just the example of like, yep, okay, we got to, sorry, it's a bit annoying now, but I'm not starting again. I want to do more arts review, theatre review, arts content, and I just got to be brave in starting. What I'm worried about is like, it's going to be a bit boring to start. I don't think this is the right platform. I think it is just like 1 minute or 1 to 2 minute videos on vertical format, cross-posted across YouTube, Insta, TikTok. But does there need to be a visual point of difference? Do I need to like zhuzh it up? Does it need to be funny? It's not really funny. I just genuinely want to talk about theatre. So I'm not trying to like entertain. I'm actually trying to kind of like have a broader conversation. Also, I think because there's such like of the kind of theatre review TikTok types that are reviewing, there's some real saccharine bullshit that's full of musical theatre people, and musical theatre people skew the word theatre to thinking to making it. They skew my definition of theatre from what I think is sometimes rigorous, high, interesting art to kind of cheesy commercial karaoke sing-alongs painted in costumes and ex-neighbours stars, which is fine. That there's value in that too. It's just I just am not a musical person and do not enjoy it, and that's it. I just find it so different, but it's so interesting where people are really. Musical theatre people are really hardcore. Like the fans, even more so than the people who do it. Anyway, so I'd just like to do theatre reviews, but I'm scared to start. So, in our remaining, this is okay. I've spent the whole time explaining the problem without taking any action. Here's the things. I think I need to document my fitness journey and health. I know the problems and the barriers at the moment are that I'm doing late night snacking because sometimes I'm having just a little bit of, like a good time, and then I'm getting the munchies later on, and that's when the downfall happens because I like going for a walk at nighttime. But then, of course, being in Melbourne, everything's open. That's delicious and tempting and salty and sugary, and I would just demolish it. So that's probably one of the key problems. I don't drink, so there's no alcohol to cut out. But I also, I'm very easily tempted by a cheap fast food. I don't normally drink energy drinks. This is a weird thing. It's because I've got 5 million in the fridge from that Love Luxury TikTok I did where I used them as bags. So I think that's fine. And then the fitness studio, it's just because I don't have money coming in a lot at the moment. Let me just rephrase that. It's just because I'm waiting for the peak of the money flow to kind of reach its kind of growth and climax. But we're in a period where I'm taking money out faster than I'm putting it in. So I'm just nervous about signing up to a gym membership or Pilates membership, but I know that accountability and class accountability is what I need. I'm not going to do YouTube videos. I'm just not. Don't even try to tell me to do that. I'm not going to. Walking, maybe I could start running again, just a little bit, go gentle. I need to document it in some way. So whether that's video, whether that's here, whether I start with a little exercise review. Boring though. Oh. And then for the arts reviews, I guess I just need to start a bit like this. It's like, it's okay if it's rambly. It's okay if it's not perfect the first time. We'll improve after that. I mean, this kind of setting could work for a theatre review, right? Just sort of like in my room, at my desk. The audio then is good. Maybe that's good. And maybe that's a way, maybe it's part of this brand of like, it's Kyle as himself, not Kyle as the characters. I don't know. It's very confusing. Okay, so here's my promises. Actionable goals, smart goals, specific. I'm going to start documenting. Okay, listen to this. Very important. Very compassionate, neutral language, right? Not, I'm going to start exercising every day. I'm going to start documenting my exercise every day. Sometimes that's going to mean that I'm documenting, I did no exercise today, but I just need to start documenting it so that I'm conscious of it. I like exercise. It's so odd that I'm avoiding it so badly. And I also want to look hot too, like hotter than I am, just want to improve that. Okay. The munchies thing, I reckon I need to spend a little bit of time researching to see how people get around that, because I'd like to not stop blazing up, but that's okay. If I really had to, I could stop. I'd like to continue. Okay, so part of it is just like I need to do a little bit of research about that munchies snacking and whether I have pre-prepared stuff in the house. That might be a good thing. Maybe I'll go get some like healthy snacks now. Celery and hummus rather than like chips and lollies. I sort of need a competitor or something as well. Like that's really helpful for me. Is the competition would help me do this, but that's okay. Maybe can you all just pretend in the comments that you're, even if you're not, just say you are, and then be like, I challenge you. There's no way you could exercise every day this week, Kyle. I'm doing it, and I'll be like, oh damn it, I've got to compete. So that's that. And then for these videos, I'm going to make a public statement. Within 24 hours, I'm going to have at least one theatre review up. From the time that you're seeing this or listening to this, if you've seen this, I'm going to have a review up. It's going to be of Birds at Melbourne Comedy Festival. And to do that, I'm going to just write some notes down, just some thoughts, so I'm just clear and can just hit the points rather than waffling too much. And I'm going to record it maybe in here, maybe with a microphone, just as a good start. I could do a funny green screen background or something. Yeah, I could do a little... That could be cute. Like in the TikTok... Okay, yep. So we're getting too boring now. So that... And that's my two things. Okay, so I thought it'd be a bit more dynamic and interesting coaching myself to do those things, and I wasn't. What's the punishment if I don't do them? If I don't have the theatre review posted in 24 hours, I have to... I have to film myself... I can only think of really intense and cooked things, so let's not do that. I don't know. We do like an We do like an undies tour of my, like I talk you through my undies, like, because I really don't want to do that. I really not want to do that. But I could turn that into something fun. But I don't. Let's try and avoid that. So I'm going to get this review up. If I don't, otherwise it's undies tour. Yeah. If I don't do that, and then also start documenting exercise. Oh, I do want to. 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 I thought I saw 10 man out by window. You seen that TikTok? That's not what she says, but it's so good. God, that's good characters. Okay, leave it there. Thanks for watching.